If you're shopping while working, eating, or even listening to this podcast, then you know and love the thrill of a deal. But are you getting the deal and cash back? Rakuten shoppers do. They get the brands they love, savings, and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores like Levi's, Plow and Hearth, Adidas, Sephora, and Neiman Marcus. Stack sales on top of cash back and feel what it's like to know you're maximizing the savings. And it's easy to use. And you get your cash back sent to you through PayPal or check. The idea is simple. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back. Download the free Rakuten app or go to Rakuten.com to start saving today. It's the most rewarding way to shop. That's Rakuten. Rakuten.com.
Hey there, here's a quick note before we begin. You can support the podcast by downloading, sharing, or checking with my favorite hiking gear at justhike.com. Let's hit the trail. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Gabby, a licensed chiropractor in Texas. She shares practical tips for movement, recovery, and whole body health so you can hike longer, feel better, and stay ready for every adventure. You'll also hear her insights on how to stay proactive about your health, warning signs to pay attention to, and ways to create more balance in your active lifestyle. I just recently completed a hike, and I thought, you know what? Since you did a soft tissue treatment on me, I haven't felt that pull on that muscle since you did that soft tissue treatment.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that. So tell me about what you did.
Yeah. So a little bit of anatomy and physiology and how the body works.
Okay.
Muscles move joints.
Yes.
Okay. As well as muscles are pumps. The heart is probably the easiest one to talk about just because we know just our body pumps our heart. It's a muscle and it does its thing. It's got a little pattern to it. And so that's a pump. But our muscles, our skeletal muscles that we think of, Arnold Schwarzenegger and his beautiful biceps, they're pumps as well. And they help to not just pump fluid through our muscle tissue, but also through our joint spaces. So I wanted to use that so everybody understands what muscles do. But what I did for you specifically was I used metal tools to break up the scar tissue or irritated tissue in that muscle group to allow you to pump those muscles more efficiently to move that joint that was irritated, because all of that causes inflammation. And what I tried to do was just help the body have better focused inflammation in the area so that you can recover more efficiently and have relief.
That makes perfect sense.
It was really complex, though. I went more complex than I wanted to be.
That's okay. So what I was feeling was, it was a little bit of a pull. Like whenever I turned my leg, I felt a little bit of pull. Some would call it like the sciatica area. Right? So I was feeling this pull. I would be in bed and I would turn over from left to right or right to left. My leg would move and I would feel this pull going on. And I think if I left it, and I know a lot of people leave these things.
Oh, everybody loves to. Maybe it'll go away.
Maybe it'll go away.
Most dangerous words in the English
right?
language.
Maybe it'll go away.
Yes.
Exactly. But it wasn't going away. And I know better because I'm a personal trainer. I've worked with you in the rehab clinic, and I know it's not going to go away. I know that it's going to cause more issues if I leave it to go longer. And so I'm very grateful that you were able to work out that muscle tissue and get that proper blood flow and circulation so that it could essentially heal.
Correct. Yeah,
right?
Essentially that's what it is. The reason that it doesn't go away is something caused an injury, right? The most intense scenarios are going to be infections and cancers. If you have an infection and you let it fester, it's going to get worse. You can lose the tissue, you can have a big scar, you can end up having the infection go septic, and then it actually affects more other things. Cancer, if you let it sit, obviously it'll spread, it can metastasize. Again, those are very horrible scenarios. I don't want that for anybody, but any type of musculoskeletal complaint shouldn't be treated any different. Just because it can cause degeneration in joint spaces. In instance that you were talking about, what that can do is it can actually cause you to compensate differently when you're hiking, to where all of a sudden you can't hike as far, you can't hike rough terrains, you're not able to continue to travel to hike, you can only do local hikes. So there's a lot of detriment that can be added to allowing something like that to fester, especially where it is, because in the butt cheek there's a deeper muscle that can affect the sciatic nerve. It's called the piriformis muscle. And if it does actually spasm or irritate or have scar tissue in it from an injury or an irritation, that's just not where you want to have
especially being a
scar tissue.
hiker.
Yeah, exactly, because you're on your feet and you're using your hands and you're having to really use just about every aspect of what every muscle does in your body.
And so if I did, let's say, allow it to fester, and it did start to affect where I could hike. I can't sit in a vehicle for long periods of time now. I can't travel those 1,000 miles to get to Colorado. Or I can't even sit in a car for 5 hours. And I know some people who are like that. They can't even sit through a movie theater and watch a movie because their low back starts to hurt or whatever body part starts to hurt. And so I think what you're saying is it's best to take care of it early.
Absolutely.
If you don't take care of it right away, you said that it could go into disc degeneration or maybe body alignment issues.
Yeah, hip degeneration, SI joints. It can start to affect the knees. Not only that, it can make you change your posture, so you're more likely to fall. Like, it's a trickle effect. 100% dependent on how you compensate to it, and we're all very unique in that aspect. So yeah, 100% dependent on who you are and your activity level and previous injuries, and I don't think that there's really any way to tell the future there. But
so better, the lesson is better to take care of it early and keep an eye on it.
Correct. Always great whenever we have personal stories to relate to.
Can you share a little bit about your chiropractic journey and what made you passionate about helping people feel better in their bodies?
Gotcha. This is one of my least favorite questions to ever answer because there's so many people in the world that have these amazing stories, and I feel like mine's one of the most boring, and I have no clue how to zhuzh it up with
make it fancy.
There is nothing exciting about my story at all. As a kid, I remember just loving touching people, especially my parents' feet. And I don't want to sound weird, but my dad worked hard, my mom took care of the kids, and I just remember rubbing their feet at night and having people be like, wow, you really have a knack for that. What's funny is I have kids and I tell them the same thing. So I have a feeling it's just a generic answer and the parent is enjoying having attention. But so what that led to was realizing I don't have a problem touching people and I like helping people. In high school, I had the opportunity, which is another story for another time, but I had an opportunity to become a student athletic trainer. A brand new high school, brand new program, brand new facilities, and I was recruited to do it. As much as I was hesitant to do it, I ended up pulling the trigger and I did it. I became a student athletic trainer. I learned how to tape ankles, I learned how to ice, I learned how to do ultrasound, I learned how to do e-stim, I learned all kinds of cool things that I got to do as I think 14 through 18 year old. And so just super cool to experience. I got to come up with the treatment plans for my athletes. This is the weird, in retrospect, doing what I do now, I realized, oh, I did this as a kid. And realized I wanted to help people there. So went into college, deciding to be an athletic trainer. I wanted to be a chemical engineer and then have a minor in athletic training. So I could be a certified athletic trainer, but I was going to be this kooky little chemical engineer because I'm Southern Louisiana. My freshman year in college, it was my first semester. Went downstairs to one of the buildings where the mailboxes are and some other stuff, and they had a bulletin board, or a cork board as some people would call it, and they had a pull tab for one of the chiropractic colleges in Missouri. I had never put a thought to it, never had an interest in it, but I saw that and I was like, and I pulled one of the tabs just for no reason. It was a pull tab thing and it intrigued me, and then I never called that number, but the next morning I woke up and I was like, you guys, guess what I'm going to be when I grow up?
Really?
I'm going to be a chiropractor. And it just, from that moment forward, at some point in my first semester of college,
your journey began.
The journey began.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Again, not an exciting story at all. It's actually quite boring.
No, it's not.
But those are the 3 major steps that made me realize, I'm going to help people.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that you are helping people. Because I know you help me a lot. You do. So you and I both love nature and the outdoors. I know you've gone camping with your family.
Yes.
And You like to show it to your girls. If you had to pick a happy trail, where is your favorite place to walk or be in nature?
Gotcha. I have a selfish answer for this one. There was a state park, or it's still there in Louisiana where I grew up. It was called Fountainblue State Park. And we used to do like group camping with different groups of friends and stuff growing up. I don't remember if I ever tent camped there, but that's my favorite place because being there when I was a kid and seeing it now when I go back with my family, it's fun to see some of the same dead trees that used to scare me and realize, oh, that's just a tipped over tree with a big hole underneath it.
Yeah.
So that's my answer to that. And then it's right next to Lake Pontchartrain, so you get the effects of water, you get the effects of some beachfront, and then there's just tons of nature to be able to see. And there's an old abandoned sugar factory there, like from the early 1800s or something like that. My dates are probably wrong. Don't reference my dates. I'm not here to be a historian. But I was also always fascinated that they had old structures in the middle of the woods that used to be used to do things.
Part of the state park?
Really? Yeah, Fountainblue State Park. It's nothing exciting.
Yeah. No, it sounds like an interesting place to visit.
When you sent me those questions, I was like, oh gosh, we really haven't done a ton here. We've gone camping a handful of times. We haven't hiked a ton. We've stayed at Stubblefield. I think that's an amazing place. It's got all the amenities you need if you're not comfortable using the restroom in the bush and things like that. You've got water, you've got nature trails, and so they've got running water. And those campsites are set up to make it an easy setup and take down. So I will say Stubblefield's great as well. But other than that, no, it's usually just impromptu. Let's go, stay one night, pack it up, and let's get out of there. So
I like impromptu. That's
those are my favorite ones. Yeah. But that one's Fountainblue State Park.
So many hikers deal with low back or hip discomfort. Yeah. What do you think are some of the common mistakes or habits that contribute to pain in that lumbopelvic region? And so just to explain the lumbopelvic region, that's like your hips, your low back, your core.
Yes, exactly. I would say lower abdomen, hips, upper thighs, like that would be lumbopelvic area. This is 100% dependent on each individual, but I think the number one thing I'm going to generically say is it comes down to your supplies. And what the three major supplies I'm going to bring up are your shoes. And obviously your shoes are going to depend on what terrain you're on, so please understand that that is one of the factors that I talk to people about. The other is, are you carrying a book sack or a rucksack? Like, what are you carrying? And so there's that, because is it centered? Do you have it properly ergonomically set? Where is the heavy stuff? Because I'm not sure, I've never worked for a moving company, but I do know that when you load a trailer, you put the heavy stuff in the front of the trailer. Our book sacks, our rucksacks, they're no different. You have to be very methodical about where you put the things.
You do. You want
your straps are important. So those are the major two, but then also any other tools that you're going to need. So if you deal with chronic knee pain, then you need to make sure you support that knee. If you deal with back issues, then does your sack have support? Does your fanny pack, are you able to actually utilize it differently? And so that's what it was. The other thing is, what tools do you have to help you get through the hike so it's an enjoyable experience, but then also an enjoyable recovery? The generic answer is, what supplies do you have and how are you using those tools? How do you execute that?
What are some early warning signs that our bodies give us before injury or chronic pain sets in?
Maybe it will go away, first off. If you have that thought, that should be a red flag. That is your check engine light going off, all the things.
It is not going to go away.
It's not going to go away. No, I don't even care if
it's going to change.
All it's going to do is, you think it went away, but all it's done is put this, you're ignoring this signal. So the body's actually quite intelligent to where it's going to say, oh, if you're going to ignore this signal, I'm going to turn this one off, even though it's still there. You've just acclimated to it. And then let me create another signal over here. And you think this one went away. You're like, oh, it did go away. No, it's still there, you big old dumb. It's still there. It's just now you have another problem.
Right.
And then this one goes away. And you might have this one again, because the body's like, you're not responding to this one. Let me turn this one back on while I figure out what to do. And then all of a sudden you've got another problem.
Right.
And this is exactly how the body works. Our body has backup systems to backup systems. And so the question is, what are some of the things?
What are some of the early warning signs that our bodies give us before injury or chronic pain sets in? And I want to give you something that I thought of.
Okay, perfect.
And we can go from there. So let's say, for example, you have neck or upper back or shoulder pain.
Okay.
But then that goes away. But now my elbow hurts, or I have, what is that called? Carpal tunnel.
Carpal tunnel, right? Yeah. So carpal tunnel can truly be coming from the carpal tunnel, but it's very unlikely, especially when you have the history you just described, because what that means is there's pressure on the nerves that exit the spine that go to the hands, and you're having numbness and tingling and weakness.
Right.
Those are all signs and signals from the nervous system, and the nervous system is how our body functions. That's the motherboard. That is how everything is communicated out. That is how everything is executed. So if you have any issues or stress on the nervous system, then you're going to have dysfunction. One of the other examples that I'd like to use is, I have two. One is, if you've ever experienced your eye twitching.
Not for a long time, but yes.
Correct,
I've
right?
had it.
Because the body finally acclimates and says, okay, I've found a backup system to take care of this, and then I'm going to go take care of something else. That is a major, there's two factors that are involved. One, you're dehydrated. And typically, for me, it is caused by stress, long-term sleep deficit and stress. But that is, electrolytes are off.
Oh, interesting.
This is a muscle spasm that's happening. And so it's a sign of dehydration.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members save even more with limited-time doorbuster deals. Save $5 on 24-count Contractor's Choice 42-gallon trash bags, now just $14.78. Plus, get your choice select DeWalt Elite Series saw blades for $9.98. Not a Pro Rewards member? Join for free today at Lowe's. Valid through 9/17. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowes.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Hydration, it's a sign of your electrolytes off, and then obviously, depending on the environment you're in, my analogy is not specific to hiking, but I can only imagine that when you are hiking, you're sweating a lot. You're not drinking as much as you should. Your food is not ultra processed, but it's having to be dehydrated, rehydrated. There's just a lot of factors that can nutritionally deplete you, and electrolytes are super important. And so when you see that, that is a signal of saying, oh no, I'm dehydrated. And what it is once you have a symptom, everybody needs to understand the symptom is the last thing to show up when we talk about these types of scenarios. I'm not worried about electrolytes when you're hit by a Mack truck, so I don't want to be taken out of context here. When there's a trauma, it's a completely different type of approach. But when we're dealing with a fully functioning entity, you have to look at the signs and signals. And when you have a symptom, you have already passed the threshold of thinking that you have a problem. You do have a problem.
Right.
And so that's another analogy that I thought of was just that twitching eye. But it can be any muscle in the body. We've had our toes twitch, or even have we've all woken up with like a calf strain where our foot's backwards and we're like, oh my gosh. And so those are all signs of dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, magnesium deficiency. There's a lot of things.
Right. Muscle cramps.
Muscle cramps,
Yeah.
exactly. And then the second example you mentioned, the neck pain, the shoulder pain, some referral pain down the arm. If that's ignored and it goes away, one, it typically never goes away. Again, you acclimate to it. But the second thing or aspect of that is when your body compensates, all of a sudden, a few weeks, a few months, a few years down the line, the pattern is you're going to start to have low back pain. And then if you ignore the low back pain, what will happen is you'll start to have mid-back pain, because then the two problems start to meet in the middle.
Gotcha.
So the other one's never fully resolved. Your body has just adapted and healed itself to the best of its ability. And then with that comes the detriment of compensatory patterns and other ways of the body to degrade. Sorry to get morbid there, but that's what it leads to.
That's what it leads to.
And that's whenever we see a lot of the scenarios that we've seen clinically, which is people not being able to do what brings them joy, people not being able to go on their hikes, or if they are going on hikes, they're only local, so it's the same trail 60 times a year, and not only is it the same trail, but they're not able to travel to the trails that they want to go to. So like they're losing, because of these choices we make, we lose out on life later on because we're not able to do it.
If you're enjoying this episode of Just Hyke, here's how you can help support the show. First, be sure to follow, download, and share this episode. It helps more adventurers like you and me discover the podcast and helps keep this journey going strong. And if you're gearing up for your next hike or just curious about my favorite outdoor gear, be sure to check out my Amazon affiliate page. I've listed all the items I actually use, from hiking shoes to trail snacks. You'll find them at justhyke.com. Every purchase through the link helps support the podcast at no extra cost to you. Thanks again for being here with me on the trail. Let's go back to our show. So what do you recommend for people to try to maintain their health so that they can keep on doing the things that they want to do?
Yeah. One of my favorite patient stories is a gentleman who came in with chronic low back pain, and I actually think he also had neuropathy, but he was very adamant about continuing to do his lawn work. And he kept coming in. He would have like spring and fall projects where he'd move things around or replant the plants. And then one year we just had an aha moment together, because I don't know what people do outside the four walls. But I finally just told him, I was like, here's the deal. If you're going to move massive boulders by yourself multiple times a year, you need to move massive boulders once a week. This is not something that you should just do on occasion, because this is the recovery you will always have. You have to do these things regularly. It doesn't have to be to the same caliber. It doesn't have to be to the same intensity. It doesn't have to be the same distance, whatever factors, but you have to do them regularly.
So keep that strength.
Exactly. And so if you're wanting to hike regularly, if you're wanting to hike mountains, if you're wanting to hike distance, if you're wanting to hike the different terrains, like whatever it is, then you absolutely have to, one, train for it, but you also have to do it regularly. Again, marathon runners typically have seasons of when they'll actually run multiple marathons, but then they actually have a break/training time frame where they let their body recover and then they get back into the routine of it. And so it's 100% dependent on who you are and how your body recovers and what you're working towards. But at the end of the day, you have to do it consistently to some caliber so that you can not have the detrimental type of effects that we're talking about.
That's perfect. While you were talking, it made me think of, I like to use a football player analogy where they have an on season where they play hard on their games, and then they have an off season. Which allows them to recover. Now they're not being completely off grid during that off season. They're still training and they're still moving. But it would be like if you went and played one hard football game a year and then that's all you did.
You would have a month-long recovery if you did that.
Exactly.
Because one, you're pushing your body past its limits because you're not trained to do it. But we have muscle memory. So if you've done it in the past, it comes back really quick. But then we all tell the story like, oh, I'm just not young anymore. No, you're not young anymore. Stop. Like every second we're a little older. But it's not that you're not young anymore. It's that you did not prepare yourself properly. 100%.
Agreed. Yeah.
You did not prepare yourself properly.
Yeah. You got to get out there and hike those trails before you go and do the mountain trail or whatever it is.
Correct. Yeah. And then even, I know you've done Kili a few times. So we live in probably one of the flattest parts of Texas.
Yes.
I'm aware there's flatter parts, don't get me wrong. But with how large Texas is and the area we live in, this is probably one of the flattest regions, quite distant. There are no hills, there are no mountains for us to go climb and practice for. So the next best thing would be, okay, how can I get creative? Oh, let's just go put on our sacks and let's go do bleachers.
Exactly.
Up and down and up and down and up and down.
I know.
It's boring.
Yeah,
But
you gotta
exactly. And so that's what it is. You have to get creative. Groups like yours are super important to have resources, and then all of us have our own networks as well. So even if I don't know something, I tell people all the time, let me reach out to my contacts. How can we get creative? In my book, and I'm not the best at it, every day we learn and get better, but like, I'm here for solutions. What is the problem, right? We should have one problem, maybe two, but then after that, there's no more problem. It's just talk about solutions. Like, how can we get creative? And then whatever aligns with you and you're able to do, that's what you should do. And so that patient that I was telling you guys about, he's like, I don't want to give up my landscaping. I want to be able, my wife loves telling me to move these plants and to move these rocks, and I want to be able to do it. Okay, then you need to do it on a weekly basis. You need to not have a blind dog, because you're going to move things so much that it's just going to constantly be running into things. And that's exactly, he didn't have a blind dog. I just love that analogy, but that's what it comes down to, is you have to do it regularly. So if you know that 2 or 3 times a year you're going to change the boulders in your yard, then do it weekly.
Then have something. One thing that I like to do to help train and to be able to lift heavy things, because a backpack is heavy. I have a couple of 30-pound weights sitting in the house, and in the mornings I'll just pick them up and do a farmer's carry.
There you go. Farmer's carry are one of my favorite, and it's, as women, we need that load. We need that axial load. It helps with our muscle strength, it helps with our bone density, and then also just overall
and just
strength.
That grip strength.
Because it's the grip strength, it's the holding the arms up, and then all of a sudden it's the whole entire load, because your legs now have to carry an extra, if it's 230 pounds, that's an extra 60 pounds. That's what's great about the farmer carry. For anybody listening though, it's important for me to say, I'm not telling anybody to go lift up 230-pound kettlebell. I wouldn't.
Maybe start with 10.
I want everybody to understand I wouldn't do that right now. And if I did, it would be I lift them up and I take 2 steps and I put them down. That's too much of a load for my hands and for me physically right now. Yeah. Because I haven't trained for that. So please be aware of that. You can start with soup cans. You can start with water bottles. Just pick up something, put it the similar weights in both sides, and then walk away. The other thing I don't think is stressed enough, and I know you're a personal trainer, so please don't feel disrespected here. Only do what your weaker side can do.
Oh, interesting.
So if your one side can do 30 pounds and the other side can only do 25, I just need everybody to understand you can carry 25 pounds on both sides.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Doesn't mean
because
that you're not
you don't want to be imbalanced.
We do not want to create an imbalance. Right. We are do that naturally because we're naturally right or left-handed. Mm-hmm. We're right or left leg dominant. There are certain things that naturally make us imbalanced. So important for us to make sure that we do focus on balancing our bodies as best we can.
If someone wants to age strong and keep hiking into their 60s, 70s, and even 80s, what are 2 to 3 non-negotiables that you'd recommend for joint and spinal health?
Gotcha. One is don't stop. Don't stop. I don't care if the weather's bad, you can only walk circles in your house. I currently have a couple of 2 early 80-year-olds something or others, and she had recently tweaked her knee doing some yard work and stopped walking 2 miles a day with her friends. I've been encouraging her to get back to it, and it has been the hardest thing she's ever done in her life. It's been very difficult for her to get back to it. She can currently barely walk a mile, and it's not because of her knee. It's just she lost that stamina that fast. My biggest thing to say is don't stop doing it. Get your steps in, get your movements in, get your challenges in. Don't stop doing it. Hydrate.
As we age,
we dehydrate significantly faster. I don't have the statistics behind it, but we do dehydrate significantly faster as we age. Please stay hydrated and don't just drink bottled water because, as we both know, it typically is stripped of its minerals. Drinking mineral water, making sure that you have some type of a hydration drink. I know that you have one that's amazing. Mm-hmm. And so making sure you do have those tools that you're utilizing regularly, especially if you're regularly active and losing those electrolytes.
Stop moving.
Make sure you stay hydrated. And then also just a healthy lifestyle, right? Making sure you are eating what you need to go out on those hikes. If you are somebody who, I think the generic term is the weekenders, right? Oh, the weekend warriors. I'm going to get all my training that I was supposed to do all week done in 2 days. God, that's stressful on the body. And when we naturally are not able to recover as efficiently because we're older, then our recovery is a lot harder. And so breaking that cycle just means to be consistent about it. My third one would have to be 100% making sure that you are fueling your body with proper fuel, which means whole foods, proper foods, and avoiding the high inflammatory, so great foods.
Perfect. That puts us right into gut health and whole body connection. So people don't always connect gut health with hiking and energy. How does digestion and gut health affect how we move and recover?
I think a better question is, how doesn't it help? But truthfully, our food is our fuel. My favorite analogy to give, if you have an electric car, a gas car, and a diesel car, I'm not going to plug in the gas car, I'm not going to put gas in the diesel, and I'm not going to put diesel in an electric car. Guess what those cars are going to do? They're going to degrade, they're going to not work, and if they do work, they're not going to work for very long, and the effects can be detrimental. If you're putting shit food in your body, you are going to have shitty function, no pun intended. If you are legitimately pushing your body through these hikes, because it's a lot. You're carrying equipment, you're walking long distances, you're in a different type of environment. There's just so many factors to take in. But if you are pushing your body through something so elite and absolutely amazing and beautiful, you want to enjoy it and you want to recover from it. It is important to make sure that the fuel you're putting in your body is able to be broken down efficiently by the systems that are naturally made. So eating the natural foods allow those systems to know they're a real thing. Then your cells can actually fuel properly.
Yeah, and recover.
So your hydration drink we mentioned earlier. Hydration is super important. Knowing the right time to rehydrate and not overhydrate is important. If you overhydrate, you're going to probably pee on the course too much. So it's important to realize if I don't overload on hydration but do it throughout the course, I'll actually recover more efficiently because I didn't fully deplete my cells or overstimulate my systems. The same thing with food. My friend Larissa yesterday mentioned, she reminded me of this because I'm not a huge food, anyway, like the macros and things like that, that's not something that I've ever studied or broken down, but she reminded me of this fact yesterday, which is carbs are easy to break down, and they're fuel for our muscles. And I don't know if anybody remembers what we started the conversation with, but our muscles are pumps. They move our joints. So if you are
and your muscles
moving those joints on the trail, it's super important to make sure that they're fueled. So carbs, while you're actively out, are going to be super important. But carbs, when you're recovering, isn't necessarily the most ideal situation, because now you're sedentary. Your muscles are not going to burn that fuel or use it efficiently. And so that's when we have weight gain, and then we have metabolic issues, and then we're diabetics and things like that. So finding that balance is super important as well with the foods that you're eating.
So what do you recommend? For example, there's lots of fun runs out there, and then they celebrate at the end with a beer and a hot dog.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of what we should be doing.
Yes.
And then people do that with hikes too. They'll go on a hike and then go for dinner. I see people posting pictures of donuts and crumpets and funnel cakes, and it's oh my gosh, what are you doing to your body?
Yes.
What would be a good recovery food? I like coconut water just because I find it's very hydrating.
Yeah, and coconut water is actually an emergency fluid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that.
I think in World War II, coconuts were sought after because if somebody had an injury, they obviously don't have blood necessarily, so they would pop open a coconut, put an IV line in it, and then they would put coconut water in.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great IV fluid. They use those things at races as sponsorships, right?
Of course.
We love our sponsors, don't get me wrong, but it's because it is carbs, it's quick carbs, so it allows you to reduce your recovery time and get back up to snuff pretty quick. That's why you see all those carbs, the beer, the donuts, and the sugary beverages. It's a quick recovery. It's not the healthiest, it's not the best choice.
Right.
100% agree.
So maybe limit the size.
Limit the size, and then also, it really just depends on what you're going to do next. On hikes, it's typically going to be a steady.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
Pace, depending on how long you're going or how far you're wanting to get that day. And so you have to pace yourself. You're not running from a bear yet. If you run from a bear, you're going to hope
that's a sprint.
There's going to be a keg at the end of that, so you can recover more efficiently. So I use that scenario because when you're running a race like 5K, typically you are trying to win. You're going quickly. That is also why when it comes to hikes, you have to be super methodical about how you're burning your fuel and what fuel you're putting in your body so you don't oversleep and miss your sunrise to be able to make the distance you need to make, or to actually not have muscle soreness or spasms. So it's kind of a twofold scenario as to what would be best. And so on the trails, I do always encourage the electrolytes. Quick carbs. Nuts are a great protein, but they can break down into carbs as well. Same thing with beans. Fruits are quick carbs, and so just things to help you get through. I think I answered your question.
It makes me think of Gorp, like good old raisins and peanuts.
There you go.
The go-to trail food was the original trail mix. So you have your peanuts, you have your raisins, and you have your, what's the other one? Your M&Ms or whatever.
Sugary.
Right, your sugary thing. You got the salt for the electrolytes.
Correct.
Or
peanuts
sodium.
are not my favorite protein, but it does have protein in it, but it's not the best protein. And then you've got the quick sugar, then the
raisins.
The raisins are another sugar, so they break down slightly differently than a processed sugar. And then you are correct about the salt with the electrolytes. It covers that whole basis, but you don't need all of it all the time.
You don't need a big old bag like this. Maybe just a little bit.
And then what's funny is I'm super guilty of this. Don't make it more complex than it needs to be.
Right.
100%. If you don't have any underlying medical conditions, all you have to do is make sure that you've got your proteins, your carbs, and your electrolytes covered when you go for your trip. It's not forever, hopefully. God, I hope nobody ever gets lost. But make sure you have what you need to get through what you're getting there, and then when you get home, support your recovery properly there. Now, if you're going hiking and you're a diabetic, please realize that you have to take in the data and information that's going to help you survive that hike. If you have an underlying medical like epilepsy, or please understand that
there's
this
certain
can get,
medical conditions.
Correct.
Definitely.
I'm not trying to give a cop out to not have an answer, but these conversations can get super duper complex, but don't make it more complex than it needs to be either. So if you're just going on an everyday hike and you have no underlying medical conditions, water, electrolytes in case you start to have muscle spasms or pass out, quick carbs like a piece of candy, and protein to make sure that you do have something to help you sustain our recovery there. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being able to share answers, and then I also appreciate we are speaking for the general population
Correct.
without underlying medical conditions. I think that's super important.
As we were talking, I realized, well, hold on. Somebody's going to listen to this and be like, wait a second. I'm like, yeah, no, there is.
What if?
I've lived long enough to say there's always an exception to the rule.
There is.
And I'm not here to deny that. People understand.
What if, so let's say if someone feels constantly bloated, fatigued, or achy, could gut health be a part of the issue, and what should they look for?
Yeah, 100%. Gut health is majority of anyone's issue when you have an underlying medical condition. And when it comes to hiking, the bloating, the achiness, and the fatigue, that is your body working significantly harder than it should to get some things done, and you just are not aware of it at all. We talked about symptoms in the beginning. A symptom is the last thing to show up.
Right.
So if you already are feeling bloated, that lets me know that your healthy enzymes that break down food so your body can absorb the nutrients from it are not, that balance is off to where the bad enzymes are a little higher. It also tells me if you have lethargy that you are not having proper fuel for your cells. And then if you have achiness, for me, achiness, and I'm 100% guilty right now, achiness comes from too much sugar. You're inflamed. Inflammation is how our body heals itself. Inflammation is also how it breaks down. So we all need to be very aware that if you're having chronic achiness, we have to figure out what's triggering that. Are you eating too many candy bars? Did you have too many cookies? Are you drinking sugary beverages? What is causing that achiness so you can remove it, allow your body to recover from it, and then have it as a sweet treat or a nice little thing that you get every now and then instead of all the time. We have to go on those journeys individually. It is not something that somebody can dictate. I have a patient that's had chronic knee pain, and we've done everything in the book. She's listened, she'd followed directions, she's done the one thing she's refused to do is take care of her good health.
Right. But I like my Dr. Pepper.
Margaritas, cookie before bed, glass of wine. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why you hurt.
Right.
Until you can accept that is going to be part of your experience. And you're choosing that. I get it. Mm-hmm. My left shoulder aches right now. The last 3 nights, my kids are out of town. My husband and I have indulged in adult beverages and sweets before dinner or before bed, like all the things. And guess what I do? I lay in bed and all of my old injuries hurt because of the inflammation, because of the sugar I've taken. It's 100% truth. I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to share my experience and to say, I'm not just telling you what I know, I'm telling you from experience as well.
Right. And so you know that your old injuries feel better if you're eating a cleaner diet.
Correct. And what's happening right now, my left shoulder hurts because of an old shoulder injury. Because of that injury, it is not what it should be. Anytime my inflammation is increased, the body's going to say, I'm inflamed, what do I work on? And it's going to go to these old injuries and it's going to continue to help it degrade. I don't want it to degrade. That's why a lot of us are in the shapes we're in. That is literally what's happening right now.
I think gut health is just so interesting, how it affects the entire body.
Yeah, 100%. Backup systems on backup systems. Probiotics not going to fix the issue. It'll help you feel better. It's not going to fix the problem. It is really an all-encompassing situation if it's something that you want to address. And so if you have 3 symptoms, lethargy, bloating, and aches and pains on a regular basis, this is not a, I'm going to take probiotic and be fine. This is a significant issue that needs to be addressed in a different direction, and hopefully in a way that would still allow you to continue to function.
What are some common myths about pain or posture that you'd love to bust?
Oh yeah, I love that.
My knees hurt.
Age is
normal.
True. Yeah. First off, pain is not normal.
No matter your age.
If you have pain, there is something that your body is trying to address metabolically, which means that on the inside some stuff's happening that nobody's tracking. It could be a signal from somewhere else. In men, when they're having a heart attack, typically it's numbness and tingling down the left arm. I think that's what it is. I could be wrong.
Pain in the chest, numbness and tingling in the left arm.
Correct. If it's a gallbladder attack, you're going to have right shoulder blade pain. There are areas where we can have pain that have nothing to do with that area. It's called a referral pain. So pain, as much as it's annoying, it's not normal. It's not because of age. It can be, yes. Every day, every second, our cells are slightly less efficient. Just like every time the wheel goes around on our car, there's more wear on that tire. Every time those pistons pump, there's more wear on those pistons. I get it. Everything wears the older it gets, especially if it's getting used. And so it is important to realize, yes, we do degrade as we age. It doesn't mean that you should hurt. It doesn't mean that you should have symptoms. And so when it comes to aches and pains, they're not normal. Trying to address them. I don't know if it got caught on the recording, but metabolic health is super important for us to recover. And so if you have aches and pains, it could be from your digestive system. That's where our fuel comes from. The other one is posture. I want everybody to understand that posture is not going to fix if you just all of a sudden pull your head high and sit up tall. That's not going to fix anything. It pulls muscles in unnatural areas because you've let your body land in the position that it's in at this point in time. Posture, there's a lot of underlying things that need to be addressed. It could be through different types of exercise. And so when it comes to posture, rucksacks are perfect to help pull the shoulders back and to help you offset that imbalance, because that's what it is. Posture is just a compensatory response to a stress on the body. The one stress that we can't control is gravity. When you add a pack to that, hiking sticks, there's just a lot of factors that can affect how we compensate to our posture. It's a little bit harder to answer, but yes, having bad posture is 100% by choice, and it can be corrected over time.
I had some people on the hike this weekend, and one of them had some knee pain. Another lady on the hike regularly tapes, and she did like this crisscross on her knee, and then I think it was under her knee. So can you speak a little bit about taping, like using that KT tape?
So for talking about, this is 100% just another tool. The roll of tape is significantly more universal, and it's lighter than if you were to take an elbow brace and a shoulder brace and a knee brace and a hip brace and an ankle brace. That's a whole bunch of braces where in a roll of tape, you've got all that. The other thing I really love about taping is it's a temporary fix or a temporary tool to help get you through the game. That was my favorite part about being a student athletic trainer. I could tape an ankle and get my athlete through the game. Their ankle would no longer roll. The swelling wasn't as bad as if they had gotten off and just elevated, and we won the game, right? Like, I got to be a pivotal part of that experience, and they were actually just fine. That's exactly what tape is for. It's a universal tool that you can use for just about anything, and it can help get you through the hike with a significantly less bulky item that's less heavy as well. I think taping is an amazing must-have. Obviously, we don't want to plan on injuring ourselves, but realizing you can use it for bandages, you can use it to help offset a brace, you can use it under or over things to help brace things if there was an emergency. It's just a very amazing universal tool that I think is very beneficial to help people get through it.
I think it's an easy piece of equipment to throw into your first aid kit.
Oh, absolutely.
How would someone learn how to tape? Would they first get taped, let's say at a clinic like yours, and then they would learn how to do it for their body?
Yeah.
Is that the best way to do it?
The hardest way to tape anything is to tape yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not possible. Don't get me wrong here. But it is absolutely difficult to tape yourself. And the reason for it is if you need to tape a muscle in a short position or in a stretched position, depending on what muscle it is, obviously it's going to be difficult. If I'm trying to tape my bicep in a stretched position,
your arm is straight, and how can you do it?
Exactly. Yes. Please understand, I'm not discouraging taping yourself if you're the only person that you have to be able to do that. But I will say YouTube is a great resource. You might find somebody that's figured out how to stick it to the wall and you pull that stretch and you run into it really fast. There's a solution. I'm not here to come up with problems. I'm here to come up with solutions. So there is a way. When there's a will, there's a way. I love YouTube. I think it's a great resource. I will also give the disclaimer. It's a great resource if you're not a silly goose. Not all resources on YouTube are legitimate, so use your intelligence. I don't necessarily give a stamp of approval on all things out there, but it's a great place to look intelligently. I think that guy's goofy. I'm going to listen to this one. Totally support that. Just don't believe the first thing. Maybe watch a couple of videos to learn tricks of the trade
and see how it feels.
Correct.
Test it.
Taking that a step farther, if you do want to get trained to learn how to do it, most of those companies that have a tape brand will have a book or a resource or a class for you to take.
What are 2 to 3 daily movements or stretches that you'd recommend every hiker do for whole body wellness?
Yeah, a lot of people are going to hate me. I don't do these regularly, but you did ask for whole body. Push-ups, squats, and is it crunches?
Something for core health.
So those are the big 3 that will actually cover about 80% of the muscles in your body movement-wise. Now here's the deal. If I went down on my toes and my hands and tried to do a full-on correct push-up, I just want to let everybody know I can maybe do 1 right now. And so if you're not able to do that, you can do wall push-ups, you can do incline push-ups. There's a lot of options to be able to do these things in the role that you can.
Knee push-ups.
Knee push-up, absolutely. Those are my favorite to do. The same thing with squats. I'm not telling you to put a bar on your shoulders and squat as low as you can and stand back up. What I am telling you to do is sit down, and in a controlled manner, stand back up and do that 10 times. That's what I'm telling you to do. Do something of that movement type with intention. If you are talking about sit-ups, I'm not telling you to get on a yoga mat and lay on the floor. You can lay on your couch, your bed, anything. Find a place, lay down, make sure you can get up from that spot. If you're choosing to not do those things with the solutions in mind, then we've just got to figure out what other activities that you can do. Now, those are exercises, right? 10 push-ups, 10 squats, 10 sit-ups every single day should cover a large amount of muscles. Stretches, though, that's a different story. When it comes to hiking, I feel that the hips are one of the most important places to focus. My 100% reason for saying that is because your hips are going to be the one to take the brunt of most of what's happening. I'm not saying there's not other joints involved, the knees are right there as well, but when we talk about the largest muscles in the body and the body part that's taking probably majority of the stress and strain, I would say to stretch your hamstrings in all 3 positions. So that's feet straight out, feet bow-legged, and feet pigeon-toed. Stretch the hamstrings in those 3 positions. Piriformis is important. Figure 4 stretch,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we're coming full circle now.
Exactly. Those are going to be the big 2. And then obviously the quad and the iliopsoas. Those are 2 different muscle groups that actually need to be stretched slightly differently. And the difference between the 2 is if you want to do the quads, what you do is you just bend your knee and feel a stretch in your upper thigh on the front. If you want to get the iliopsoas, that's going to be more hip and groin stretch. And the important difference between quad and hip and groin is you need to do a pelvic tilt. Flatten that low back and push your pelvis forward, and then do a similar movement. The stretch goes from the quads, in the front of the thigh, to that hip and groin area.
Right.
So it is a completely different stretch feeling. The way you get that difference is just rotating the pelvis.
One of my favorite stretches.
I love stretching the iliopsoas. It covers a large span of our skeletal system, and it just feels great. It really does.
One of my favorite stretches that I do in probably every single class that I teach is I'll do we could do it as a standing or seated, like a chair yoga idea, but you do a calf stretch. So you're standing up, you're in a lunge position, you're doing a calf stretch, and then you bend both your knees, if that makes sense. Your heel comes up, and then you do that pelvic tilt.
Oh, yeah.
And then take the same arm and same leg, the leg that's in the back, take that arm up over your head, and then you get this really terrific
Just
all the way
I've seen
down.
you do this. No, that is a good one. And what's funny is there's no wrong answer to any of the questions that you've asked today. You can interview another chiropractor with a similar background that I have, and they're going to have completely different answers. And so it's just always an honor to educate and to banter back and forth about the thought processes, because you don't know what you don't talk about. And I have a very wonderful quote that I've learned from something we've done, and that is, you know what you don't know. And then what I learned from Landmark is, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
And when you don't know it, just take it with gratitude, because you go, oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing.
My mission is to help women be stronger and to be able to get out and do those hikes that they want to do, because I just feel very passionately about the benefits of nature and the benefits of getting outside and getting away from these man-made structures and the health benefits that it has. And I really appreciate you sharing everything that you do so that people can be stronger. And I think conversations like this about health and about pain and about gut health and about joint pain, maybe just one person will say, oh, maybe it is my gut health, or oh, why is my shoulder hurting, but now it's my hand hurting, or whatever that connection is. I just appreciate you being on the show and sharing the insights that you have. Maybe someone will have this aha moment.
If one person's listening and they get an awesome nugget that gives them a positive impact, I think that this conversation is.
So if you had to give hikers a Dr. Gabby's trail checklist for health, what would it be?
A trail checklist for health. Okay, so you're a significantly better seasoned trailer than I am.
Okay.
So I feel like this is a very immature list that I'm going to give.
No, any list is good.
I'm going to say mineral sea salt.
Oh.
Okay. I'm going to say a water filter straw.
Yes.
This has gone survivalist quite quickly.
Yes.
And then I'm also going to say like a good amount of nuts. Maybe a nut variety. They don't have to be salted nuts, but a good variety of nuts. And that would be my go-to. Mineral sea salt because it is going to cover a lot of the electrolytes that are necessary for everything to function. Go get some pink Himalayan sea salt. Put a little pinch in each of your glasses of water throughout the day, or 2 or 3 glasses of water. It'll help significantly.
Nice. I like that. And it saves money.
You already have it.
You already have it.
Now, I do want to make another service announcement here.
Okay.
That is not table salt.
Gotcha. Sea salt and Himalayan sea salt is not table salt.
Is not. That is, sodium chloride is table salt. It is, for the most part, chemically derived, or it is depleted of its minerals, and that's what you get. You get that one molecular formula of NaCl. When you get mineral sea salts, you're getting minerals. You're getting a lot of other things that are not chemically removed and then put back in. So it's not fortified. Just get your naturally collected mineral sea salts.
Now, what is one health habit that you swear by? That
Mine would be, okay, so one of the most important, all of our systems are important, but detoxification pathways can get clogged up so efficiently. One of my favorite supplements to take on a regular basis, there's 2 things that I like to do on a regular basis. One is I do take milk thistle regularly. Milk thistle is a liver support herb. You can take it in capsule form or herbal tincture and mix it in a drink. It's pretty much flavorless. You can get it in a tea form, but I don't think it tastes very good. What it does is it helps support your liver to detoxify things more efficiently. The example is if you were going out to have some beverages with a friend and you want to not have a hangover the next morning, milk thistle is a natural way for your body to process that alcohol more efficiently so you don't have a hangover. It also allows you to possibly have 1 or 2 more drinks, which means that the night's more expensive. To say it helps with your detoxification pathways, not just for alcohol. The other is I actually, for most of my life, have regularly drank apple cider vinegar water.
Ah, okay.
So I think it's a new thing right now. There's
it is, yeah.
When I was a kid, I'd get upset stomachs, and my mom would give me like a little teaspoon of apple cider vinegar and a cup of water at night. Over the last few months, I've brought that back, not because of the trend that's going on, but I was just like, you know what, my mom used to do that, and I used to feel really good, and so I've started to do that again.
Does that have something to do with probiotics in your gut?
I have no clue what it does. That was one of those things that I've started to do, realizing it's just good for your gut. It probably does help with the microbiome. I think it helps with digestion. I think it helps with bloating. It does help to offset the chemical structures because our system is quite acidic, and I do believe that the vinegar is a base. No, I do not know what it does. I just brought it back because I did it as a kid. And I don't know, it's one of those things that...
It also makes me think of eating fermented things like kimchi or sauerkraut. Even like a good high quality yogurt.
The yogurt, like the kefirs.
The kefirs and things like that, all in the same realm. Is
absolutely.
Okay.
They're very similar, especially when you talk about the microbiome, because what the fermented foods are is they're natural processes that those foods are going through. Some of them because of manipulation, right? Kimchi is a specific process to have it ferment, but you get really beautiful enzymes that help our systems. It's that symbiotic relationship that exists.
I'm gonna go buy some kimchi.
It sounds actually really good. It does sound really good.
There's a good one in town, a little Korean restaurant that makes a really good kimchi. I'll tell you where it is afterwards. All right, let's close off with some rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire.
Favorite trail snack, salty or sweet?
Salty.
Hiking item you can't live without?
Carabiner water bottle.
Coffee, tea, or electrolyte mix before a hike?
Coffee. Because you gotta start with my coffee, I'll be dehydrated, I'm probably gonna poop on the way.
Best song to blast when you need a mood boost?
I am 100% like, I call them women empowerment songs. Any female artist that's screaming a song about, I'm confident, I got this, I'm great, any of those. I don't really have a specific.
Aretha Franklin, or no, Nancy Sinatra, These Boots Are Made for Walking.
There you go, that's actually that's a good one.
If you weren't a chiropractor, what would you be doing?
I'd be a comedian.
You would be.
I'd be a comedian.
Yeah.
Life's way too serious. I went that path. I got really serious, and I am slowly getting it back. But yeah, no, I would definitely be a comedian.
Sunrise or sunset hike?
Oh,
early bird or night owl?
I'm a night owl.
Okay.
But I have to say that there's a ton of beauty in a sunrise. When you said the word hike, it makes sense why you said it. But I would watch a sunrise. I would hike a sunset because I'm a night owl. So,
most out of the box health tip that you love?
Oh, most out of the box health tip that I love. There's just so many. I'm just gonna say, just move. If you're depressed, just move. If you're pregnant, just move. If you're bored, just move. Just move.
If you could hike anywhere in the world tomorrow, where would it be?
Last fall, we went to Kentucky for a wedding, and my daughter has been asking to go back ever since then. So, Kentucky. In Kentucky.
Were the leaves changing color?
The leaves were changing colors. We were in the mountains. There was no snow, but there was water. It was right before flooding, so there was some rainfall. I don't think I've ever seen my daughter remember something like that. It would have to be there, because that was it just pulled on my heartstrings. So it would be Kentucky, the mountains in Kentucky.
Yeah, sounds beautiful. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you. Is there anything that you want to add or mention? Now, if people wanted to get a hold of you, we could leave your email in the show notes if you wanted to.
I'm at a facility called McGee Chiropractic. It's right on the line between Conroe and Montgomery, Texas. I am a licensed chiropractor in the state of Texas, so there's a lot I can do. I also have a lot of resources, so even if somebody has questions or needs help with something, I'm absolutely happy to try and reach out to my panels and see what's out there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Always down for an adventure.